I'm standing outside Alexandra Palace Station, or at least I would be if it didn't close 70 years ago. Getting the strongest deja vu right now. It seems like it's becoming tradition that every November there's 2 heritage bus running days in North London. Last year's events were based around Finchley and Camden. This year's events have been based around Archway and Camden, but some of the routes are different to what they were last year. We went out for the Archway day 2 weeks ago and we started in Muswell Hill. So exactly 2 weeks later, I thought I would start my day in Muswell Hill. 2 weeks ago we waited over at that bus stop for a 43 to Friar and Barnet. This time I'm waiting on this side of the road for a 134. So the 134 nowadays runs between Muswell Hill and Warren Street. I remember it used to go a little further to Tottenham Court Road. And the heritage buses today are only running on part of the route between Muswell Hill and Camden Town. But the first bus of the day is doing quite a mammoth journey. It started all the way up in Potter's Bar and it's running further south to Pimlico, Potter's Bar to Pimlico. So hopefully I've got a nice long journey ahead of me at the start of my day from Muswell Hill to Pimlico. So this first bus was quite busy, so I didn't get the best seat against the window, so the footage is not going to be the best, so I apologise. Our journey started off exactly as it did 2 weeks ago when we followed the 43 and 134 routes down to Archway, following the Northern Line past Tufnell Park, Kentish Town and Camden Town stations where the day's event are based around. We continued down past the HS2 works at Euston Station and then Warren Street Station, which is now the terminus of the 134 route. A little ways down Tottenham Court Road past Googe Street Station, which was originally called Tottenham Court Road Station, to, well, the Tottenham Court Road Station, which still exists, and then down deeper into the heart of London past Cambridge Circus, Leicester Square and into Trafalgar Square. Now we were meant to go down Whitehall, but it was closed, so we were diverted around Northumberland Avenue past the London Eye, where I tried to get a shot of it without leaning too much over a stranger to press my camera against the window. And once on the other side of the closed Whitehall, chance to get political, we've made it into Parliament Square. A run down to Victoria next, and then it was on to the last section of the route through to Pimlico. Now I thought that maybe we would terminate at the 24 terminus at Pimlico Grosvenor Road, but we instead terminated at Pimlico Dolphin Square, which no London bus terminates at. So I suspected that maybe the 134 terminated here back in the day, before being pushed back to Tottenham Court Road and later Warren Street. We stopped for a few minutes for a photo break before heading back along the route, where this time I luckily did get a window seat, but I realised I sat on the wrong side to get a good shot of the London Eye, so yeah, sorry about that. Here's Trafalgar Square instead. Trafalgar Square! Who put bread on top of the bus stop? Oh, anyways, once the bus made it back to Camden, I didn't hang around long. I changed routes to a 24 towards Hampstead Heath. Route 24 between Pimlico and Hampstead Heath is technically London's oldest bus route, because since 1912 it has never changed its route, making it the oldest one still in operation in London. And I'm letting everyone get on the 24 to head back towards Camden, whereas I'm going to do what I usually do and go for a walk across Hampstead Heath. Okay, so many things to mention. I don't know how many of them I'm going to include as a voiceover or not. Maybe I'll use these clips as the voiceover. That was supposed to be a 2-hour round trip on the 134 down from Muswell Hill to Pimlico and back up to Camden, but it took 2.5 hours, partly due, I think, to the Whitehall closure, but we did also pick up more delays as we went along. I picked up a programme at Camden Town, has all the information of the day, history and timetables for the routes. They said they couldn't sell the programmes on the bus, even though they advertised that some buses would be selling them, and they also sold them 2 weeks ago in Archway. So what I was going to do was jump off at Warren Street on the way back and then get the 24, but because I didn't have a programme, I stayed on to Camden Town and changed there instead. I've now made it up towards Hampstead Heath, and we're going to walk across Hampstead Heath to pick up the 214 from Parliament Hill Fields. The programme does confirm what I suspected. The 134 route did used to run from Potter's Bar all the way to Pimlico. Great bit of information there showing how it was withdrawn initially when the Victoria line opened. It's a real shadow of its former self, the 134. Bit of information there about the 214 as well. I'm loving my little walk across Hampstead Heath with the autumn colours crunching the leaves. So is everyone else for that matter. It's very busy here. Hampstead Heath's main feature is Parliament Hill, which if I get to the top, I'll have a viewpoint of London. So there's a London skyline through there. A top tip if you come to Parliament Hills yourself is, because there's so many people here, if you want to avoid the crowds, just walk down a bit. Obviously be careful if you're taking this path down, because it is a little steep and uneven. And it brings you out down here where you have a huge open field where nobody is here, and you have no trees blocking the viewpoint of London either. I was going to say it's a perfectly sunny day as well to visit Hampstead Heath, which is good because it was forecasted to rain on Sunday earlier this week, but then the sun has just been blocked by a huge grey cloud, but that's okay. Just love this viewpoint. I can see the London Eye now as well, tucked to the left of that tower block there. I've walked down a little bit and now I can see Crystal Palace poking out to the left of that tower block now. There's many notable features of Hampstead Heath apart from just the viewpoint. I'm by the Stone of Free Speech, which I've never come across before. The other places in Hampstead Heath I really like is that you can find the source of the River Fleet, because we're on high ground. That's one of London's most principal lost rivers. Fleet Street, everyone's heard of Fleet Street, right? There's a Fleet Road, which is less notable, but it's what the 24 bus took up to the terminus at Hampstead Heath. There's several other ponds. One of them, there's a beautiful brick viaduct that goes over the pond, the bridge, and I really like that spot in Hampstead Heath. Maybe my favourite spot in the whole grounds. I have Kenwood House as well, way up on the other side. If we weren't just cutting straight across to the other bus route, I would love to spend more time here wandering around. Maybe I'll come back and dedicate more time to Hampstead Heath in another video one day, because it is a fantastic place. So where on one side of Hampstead Heath you have the terminus of the 1 and 24 bus routes, on this side you have the terminus of the 88. I remember the C2 used to come here, and the 88 started back down at Camden Town. Funny how London's oldest bus route, the 24, shares its terminus with the 1 bus route, which you think would be the oldest one, right? And here comes my 214. It's terminating here. It will loop back around towards Camden and King's Cross. I love them small old buses, they're quite cosy. We're back at King's Cross exactly 2 weeks later. Last time I went to go and have a look, it's very noisy. I went to have a look at Europe's smallest crescent and a disused spur of railway line, which you can still see. This time I'm going to have a look at some of the more obvious sights of King's Cross, including an obligatory shot of both King's Cross and St Pancras International stations, because they are just stunning. I remember when essentially all of this land here was the concourse for the station where you would wait for your train from King's Cross. It's much nicer nowadays that the glorious entrance to King's Cross station is now much more visible. Possibly even more impressive is St Pancras International station right next door. Just absolutely love the frontage to it and the clock tower. Don't like car horns in the background when I'm trying to film there. There's so many features to St Pancras International Station which I love. As soon as you walk in, you get a view of the Eurostar trains. The Eurostar trains are right in front of this giant statue here. There's a huge clock up there too. There also used to be Olympic rings back from London 2012 that hung here in the station. Parts of the rings you can still see in a nearby park. Even at the base of the statue there is a selection of other sculptures as well. That's glasses. That's quite cool. Yeah, there's a lot here. I feel like you can do a whole video just exploring St Pancras International because there's so much to look at, such as the old booking office here, which just looks great. It's a huge station. It's so massive and there's a whole bunch of shops and everything. Another statue you have here in St Pancras International is of Sir John Betjeman, who saved the station from closure. He's a famous poet. We read a stanza of one of his poems called Middlesex in my latest video, actually, outside of Ruislip Garden Station. And there's the man himself. What I love about St Pancras International is that every year around Christmas time it gets a very unique Christmas tree, one that's different every single year. And this year it's one inspired by The Wizard of Oz, the new Wicked film that's coming out. I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna reveal the secret. I think St Pancras International is my favourite London terminal station. I thought it would be rude if I didn't at least pop my head into King's Cross station right next door whilst I'm here. Famous for Harry Potter, of course. There's the shop here and the platform 9 3/4 sign. Top tip if you want a photo with the sign but don't want to queue up, just come here at like 6 in the morning. If St Pancras International is my favourite London terminal, what's my second favourite? Well, it's going to be King's Cross right next door. I like Paddington as well though. It's a shame that there's two really fantastic stations right next to each other here, and then you have Euston 5 minutes down the road, which is just... There's so many things to take note of around here that I feel like it's just becoming a dedicated King's Cross video and not a day out on heritage buses. I could not come and get a shot of the rainbow tunnel here at King's Cross as well, leading towards the underground station. It's fantastic, much better than a boring white corridor. I'm a big fan of the new developments around King's Cross. I see some old gas towers over there which have been converted into apartments. That's a good way of preserving them. And this area around here is known as Granary Square, which is all old railway sidings. You have Coal Drops Yard right next door as well, which gives an indication of the industrial heritage that this area has. It's very trendy nowadays. I always like coming here, especially at Christmas time. Massive Christmas tree there. There's a little clue as to exactly what this was, the North London Freight Depot. And there's an exit from Coal Drops Yard, which brings you right out onto the Regent's Canal. I see an old water tower over there. And there's a nature park as well, Camden Street Natural Park, part of the Wildlife Trust in London. If you've not given King's Cross the light of day before, I would highly encourage coming down here and exploring it. Maybe if you've got some time before your train, or give yourself time before your train, or come down here at some point during Christmas. It'll be a nice time to do it. I love Granary Square and Coal Drops Yard, and down on the Regent's Canal here. This is not the only watercourse to pass through King's Cross though. I mentioned the River Fleet earlier. That runs through here as well, but just underground because it's a lost river and it's now just become a sewer. It's actually pertinent that I mentioned the River Fleet, as there was a bridge over it here in King's Cross, or what it used to be called, and that was Battle Bridge. Yes, there was a battle bridge over the River Fleet, and that gave its name to the area. Now, the battle in question is alleged to be between the Romans and Queen Boudica, who apparently, though it's kind of disputed, is buried beneath the platforms of 9 or 10 or 9 3/4 at London King's Cross. Right, I think that means my little quick whistle-stop tour of King's Cross is over. I'm going to walk along the Regent's Canal now, back towards Camden for our last bus route. That bus route will be the 29, which is running up towards Finsbury Park today. But there are a couple of buses this evening going a little bit further. The last two of the day are going to run all the way up to Palmer's Green. Now, I'm familiar with the 29 bus route nowadays. It runs between Trafalgar Square and Wood Green. But it did used to run up, I mean, way back in the day, all the way up to South Mimms and also Victoria. But it ran up to Enfield, and that section nowadays up to Enfield is covered by the route 329 to 329. Now, when that initially got cut back, it was as far as Palmer's Green, and the 141 terminated at Wood Green, but at some point they swapped around, and now the 141 terminates at Palmer's Green, whilst the 29 terminates at Wood Green. Wow, fantastic sunrise here on the Regent's Canal. Them colours genuinely have just appeared out of nowhere. Just about to see the BT tower poking through. Post Office Tower, some of you may remember it as. Wait, that's a Eurostar train? Wait, I'm going to be here forever if I film the entire thing. I remember earlier when I said that it was forecasted to rain on Sunday, and then that changed. You also remember how it's become tradition that whenever I get onto a canal it rains? Yeah, I'm on the Regent's Canal and it started raining. How does it always happen? Every single time. Coming into Camden now, Camden Lock, because we're on the canal. There's actually 3 locks along the canal here in Camden. But what if I told you that none of the locks along here in Camden are actually called Camden Lock? I think that might be a favourite London fact of mine. This one is Kentish Town Lock. The one over there is Hawley Lock. And the main one everyone knows, which you think is going to be Camden Lock, but it isn't. It is Hampstead Road Lock. So the bridge artwork up there for Camden Lock refers to a lock which does not exist. If it was plural, I could give it a pass, but it isn't. Now, I've spent a bit too much time exploring King's Cross today that I'm not going to have time to have a wander around Camden Market, but if you're looking for a good day out, King's Cross, walk the canal to here and then explore Camden. That's a fantastic day out in London. I'm going to take what is probably the busiest street in London. It gives Oxford Street some competition towards the station, and where I'm going to catch my last bus. Well, it won't be this one that's coming through now. Camden Town tube station, possibly the worst on the network because it's just not big enough to cope with the crowds coming to Croydon. Croydon? Camden, why did I say Croydon? But there used to be a couple more archways to the station. You can see a significant gap where it used to be, but it got bombed during the Blitz. I appreciate though that it still has a London Transport sign, predating Transport for London. I know I'm skipping over a lot here in Camden. I almost said Croydon again. Like the fact that there is an entrance to a disused war shelter just behind me here, but the bus is only a few minutes away. I'm worried though, because last time in Archway, the last couple of buses to Muswell Hill were either really late or they did not run. So I'm hoping the 29 here to Palmer's Green is going to be on time. There are 2 of them spaced apart by 15 minutes. The first one is literally in like 2 minutes, so I better go. That's bang on time. Oh, back at the bus. Finsbury Park, basically everyone's gotten off, no one's really using the northern section, unless a bunch of regular 29 passengers get on. No. To a great day out on the Camden Town vintage bus running day. It's a very bumpy journey. We're on the last stint now towards Palmer's Green. I'm going to end by the North Circular Road, and then I'm going to have to make my way home in the dark. And the rain? Or has the rain stopped? I think the rain has stopped. It seems like it's becoming tradition that every November there are 2 heritage bus running days in November.